public meeting is now recommencing with the consent agenda. Items number 25360 to 25378. Please note the conditions of approval as recommended by various committees and recusals. Staff has noted Commissioner Shepherd's recusal from item 25370. Are there any other recusals not noted? No, let the record show there are no other recusals. For the record, no members of the public have signed up to testify on any of the consent items. No, let the record show no one wishes to testify. Will someone make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the conditions of approval noted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. It would appear we have unanimous approval of the consent agenda, and it is approved with the conditions noted. I will turn things over now to our Vice President to conduct the public hearing portion of the meeting, because I am recused.
Thank you. Moving on to the public hearing with items 25379, the construction of a plaza, East 25th Street between Lexington Avenue and 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, and 25380, installation of a prototypical newsstand, south side of East 25th Street between Lexington Avenue and 3rd Avenue in Manhattan. Let the record show that members of the public have signed up to testify. Per standard procedure, the applicants will give their presentation, followed by the public testimony, after which the commission will ask any questions, deliberate, and then vote.
This is really the heart of the
addition to the fire department access requirements, we have a number of utilities on the street. This diagram begins to show some of that spaghetti and the fact that we had to deal with this, particularly with regard to locating trees. In this diagram, you can see the trees that exist today and the ones that will remain. The ones that will remain are shown in green. Therefore, the 13 will remain, and we've been out to the Parks Department, had walks with them, discussions with them. So this is what they requested, is that we retain on site these 4 trees. The other trees will be removed. 2 of those will be transplanted. All in all, we're adding more trees to the project than exist today. What you're seeing here is a very complicated looking drawing. It's actually the proposed design. I'm going to show you in a minute. But what we've done is we've overlaid that design with all the easement requirements for the utilities, so that you can begin to see how we just had to sort of squeeze in trees wherever we could, where there were no utility conflicts.
What does that shading mean?
The shading generally refers to the easement that's required or the setback for any planting of trees for that particular utility. So everything that is sort of in the dark pink means that we can't plant within that zone. The actual utility itself would be the colored line that's within that pink zone.
Got it.
And then, once again, overlaid on the proposed design, I'm going to explain in a minute, is the way that we are accommodating the fire emergency access. It's a minimum of a 14-foot wide zone through the plaza. And at certain locations, you need to have a pull-off area for the fire truck. So we've met with the fire department, and we have 2 30 by 30 zones at the end, and then 2 pull-offs as you move along the plaza itself. So I'd like to just take a minute to explain our design concept, and then get into a little bit more detail in terms of paving types and materials on the plaza. In this overall diagram, you can see the number of trees that we are proposing. We are including 19 trees in the plaza, and you can see the darker green trees are the 4 existing to remain. Our concept for this was that we wanted to make sure that as you come into the plaza, you don't still feel like you're walking in the middle of the street. The curbs will be removed, and we wanted the trees to have a little more relaxed form on the street, so that they aren't in a straight line along the former curb line. So you begin to see, a little bit of diversity in terms of the location and arrangement of the trees. In terms of pedestrians arriving at the plaza, the approach that we've taken is to say that if you were coming down 3rd Avenue or up Lexington Avenue, you'd be on a standard DOT sidewalk with a 5x5 score of a certain color. And we wanted to continue that into each edge of the plaza, so that as pedestrians and the community are walking along, they feel welcome into the plaza. It's not like all of a sudden there's some dividing line they're crossing and they feel they're going into a different zone. So what we've done is we've taken the just to point out, these blue arrows represent different entrances to the building. And we'll go through this in elevation as well, but this is the location currently proposed for the newsstand that I know is going to be the subject of discussion after this. This is the east end of the plaza. This is our match line right here. So you can see the treatment is extending up to 3rd Avenue. I will point out that we are maintaining the existing flagpoles approximately at this location. That's very clear in this elevations I'm going to show you in a minute. And there is the opportunity for these businesses to have movable tables and chairs outside of their storefronts. So these are north-south sections taken through the plaza. The reference line is below. The one on the left is taken a little bit farther out, a little bit closer to Lexington Avenue, and you can see the profile of the monumental steps that is abuts the face of the Baruch College building. The section on the right shows a view of the plaza taken a little bit farther in, and you can see the relationship of the trees and to the scale of the buildings, the seating, and the feel of the campus at that point. This is, we have two of these sections for you. This is a very long section, and we have a match line here and here. So this begins with the Lexington side, and you can see everything I've been telling you about. Here are the bike racks located to help you get off your bike as you enter the plaza. Here are some of the linear stone seating elements in the plaza, some of the standard benches. And then that pattern continues through the plaza down to 3rd Avenue where you have the bike racks again. I will point out at each end of the plaza we do have two of those, one at each end, the standard DOT wayfinding feature. In the second elevation, which is south facing, we begin at 3rd Avenue, and you can see the area here is where the businesses could put out some of their own tables and chairs if they wanted to or were allowed to. At this point in the plaza, there's also a future location for a security booth that would be installed and maintained and run by Baruch College. And this is the location of the existing flags which are remaining at that current location. Continuing toward Lexington Avenue, this is a ghosted image of the newsstand location. And you can see here is the green wall against the college building and the monumental steps, once again ending at Lexington Avenue. I think this elevation helps you understand the scale of the trees and that we're introducing different species in this block-long landscape. Prior to this, all the trees were caloriniers, so we're looking at introducing diversity here. In this image, you can begin to see the look and feel of the plaza. This is a view taken from Lexington. Once again, we put the Baruch College property line right here in this image, and you can see the monumental steps on the right. This is a little more detail of that entry feature, and you can see the relationship of the monumental steps to the facade of the building. This is a Barnes & Noble here at the location, you know that. And this is the green wall that's proposed at that location. One of our design goals was to have this monumental steps, to have those face both into the plaza and onto Lexington Avenue so that anybody walking along Lexington could sit there and feel like they were part of the street scene. These are some precedent images we're using for this. These are the standard elements that we are proposing in the plaza. As I mentioned before, the DOT city bench with the back, trash receptacles, recycling, city bike rack, and the wayfinding system, which would be located at either end of the plaza. The furnishings in the plaza are stackable, they are movable, and they are in a color palette that sort of goes from silver to titanium. paving palette that I described earlier talked about how we move from a lighter colored paving into the center of the plaza where that's a little bit darker. So the two images on the left are simply just to show you a standard untinted and tinted concrete with a soft cut joint, which is what we're proposing. The actual colors that we're choosing for the three non-standard colors go from a light gray, medium gray to a dark gray, and we have samples of those here if any of you'd like to see them directly. The granite seat walls that are going to line the tree pits will be a black granite, and we are using both a home finish and a textured finish. The granite walls that parallel the tree pits will be a solid stone. This same material will be used at the monumental steps, but that treatment will be a veneer finish. This is one of our projects in Philadelphia that we recently completed, and what we had is a skateboard deterrent at each joint, stainless steel deterrent, and that's what we're looking at with these locations as well. Then this, starting to talk a little bit about plant material now. Just to summarize again, we have 19 total trees. We started out with 13, so we're really happy that we were able to fit some more trees into the plaza. Greening it, which is one of the things that we learned was important in this community, before the existing ones will remain. We have reviewed all of the tree selection with parks. We believe they're fully on board with this. We're using different tree species to complement the existing tower pairs, and these are all from the standard acceptable street tree list. The concept for the areas below the trees that are planted is that we are having a somewhat, I'll call it ephemeral landscape. We're selecting plants in the colors of Baruch College, blue and white, and the idea is that we'll have certain plants emerging in the early spring, mid-spring, summer, and so that there'll be a constantly changing palette. Previous slide of this one illustrated some of those perennials. So this is the last slide of the presentation. I appreciate your attention. Happy to answer questions at the appropriate time. And this image begins to just then show, once again, that view from Lexington straight down. And you can see at the center is where we have most of the students crossing back and forth. So thank you.
Edgar, let's present the new standing now.
So you want me to start?
Well, yeah, just quickly come up and present.
So hi, my name is Edgar Kalantevich. I work with New York City Department of Consumer Affairs. So currently we have an application pending for southeast corner of East 25th and Lexington. I know that's part of the plaza. I know DCA is very excited. I know that this application's been pending for a very, very long time, a few years now. And I know that, Ronnie's going to be really excited to present this presentation, because I know that DCA, we've been working with Ronnie as well as DOT for a few months now, just literally on this plaza location. And it's been since 2012. So we're really looking forward to the outcome. Hopefully it's a positive outcome. I know DCA is hoping for a positive outcome, and hopefully everybody here will take part in the positive outcome. So that's all. Thank you. May I have the
This is, and that's the,
over there?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. As many of you know, I've been working on this new standard proposal for just about 3 years now. Go through the typical size per procedure to go through the current context of it, and I really do appreciate your time. And I'm happy to take questions in between and afterwards. We'll start off with a partial map of NYC. Then we'll look at a key plan which shows any and all sidewalk obstructions around the proposed location. I'll go through some pictures, and I'll close off with a site plan and some photo montages. So as you can see, it's on the south side of East 25th Street, between 3rd Avenue and Lexington Avenue. The reason it says southeast corner is because the Department of Consumer Affairs asked you to apply under the closest corner of the location that you're proposing, which is why it says southeast corner. So it falls close to the middle, but closer to the southeast corner. As you look here, it's really hard to see, but these are all the elements on and around the proposed location. Any hydrants, any prior to any application for those bike racks and benches through DOT. Now, this is the second to last image. This case is west, and we close it off here with the picture. Now, before I go move on to the next slide, any questions on this?
I'm a little worried about time, but I want to make sure you have the time to present it, so
Sure.
we'll go all the way through.
Great, absolutely, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Here's the proposed site plan. As opposed to going through all the details, I just wanted to make one highlight here that I initially proposed one of the smallest size newsstands that you can possibly propose. And there's 9 different variations of sizes, one being the smallest, 9 being the largest, for example. And I proposed the third smallest, between 1 and 9. And based on the commission's guidelines that were updated over the past few years, and the criteria that's been updated, based on a sidewalk size of 15 feet 5 inches, the commission suggests and highly recommends that you go with a 4x10 as opposed to a 4x12. So although we went with the smallest size we can possibly fit on the sidewalk, we actually reduced it further based on the guidelines that the commission publishes that I've paid very close attention to over the past 3 years. So as you can see, it's 4 feet in width and 10 feet in length. If we went one size smaller by 2 feet, we would literally be the smallest size newsstand in all of New York City, like literally. And when I say we took off 2 feet, I can't even begin to describe to you how much an inch counts in a newsstand. Like I cannot, if you ever have the opportunity to walk into one, you will see that you put a couple cases of water in there and you cannot move. So it was a lot to go through going from 4x12 to 4x10, but I know the commission guidelines are very strict, and I went ahead and did so prior to this meeting so we don't have further delays. As you can see here, here's some photo montages. You can pretty much, if we were to be here, you can see this is pretty much exactly how it would look at the proposed location. And like I said, these bike racks and benches were placed during the past 2 to 3 years since I proposed this. As you can see here, we included 3 different angles. One faces east, one faces north, and the last one facing west here. And then here's just, the image is kind of blown up a little larger. Here's 1, here's 2. And as you can see, I'm sure many folks here have seen newsstands. This is one of the slimmest ones that you can actually propose. And this is the last image. And before we move on, I just wanted to make one short statement that I personally battled with the resistance of Root College on this application for about 2.5 years now. I could probably spend about a month describing what I've been through in this process before I actually stand before you here today. And it's been the most challenging experience of my entire life. I can literally stand here and tell you that. And what I would like to close with is the same thing that I started with 2 to 3 years ago. All I ask is for fair treatment of this recent application. I'm not asking for anything further than that. Thank you very much, and I'd like to say special thanks to DOT for working with me to get this incorporated into the plaza plans, for Nichelle for dealing with me for the past year, and maybe 5,000 emails, 15,000 voicemails, and everything that we've done, and for the Commissioner of New York City Department of Transportation for coming here to speak on this application's behalf. Thank you very much, Ms. Fortune. And then that concludes my presentation. If anyone from DOT wants to say a few words, or we move on to the commission.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks. We're next going to take public testimony, and then we'll have an opportunity for commission members to ask questions, and then ultimately after that we'll vote. We have 2 people who've signed up to speak, and you will be time limited, correct?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So Christina Latouf first, thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Christina Latouf. I'm the Vice President at Baruch College. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm here to oppose newsstand application 25380. And the first few images I have are specific to the criteria that the PDC uses to assess newsstands and their appropriateness aesthetically. This first image, for instance, As the applicant indicated, it's not in fact on a corner. It's in fact almost exactly in the middle of the block. And it's right in the middle of where we have our two main buildings that open up onto each other, one on the north and one on the south. In the case of egress and emergency egress, we would have 12,000 people streaming onto the plaza from these two buildings on an average day. Also, one of our concerns is we have 20,000 crossings between these two buildings, which walks right across 25th Street. In fact, prior to this plaza, the city thought it was such a critical safety concern that they put in a mid-block light. So we, for many years, had a mid-block light on 25th Street because we literally had 20,000 crossings a day. This is a narrow side street. It's not a broad northeast avenue, and that makes a huge difference. Also, the newsstand applicant has not received support, not just from Baruch College, but from the community. The community board 6 voted twice, two resolutions. And lastly, I would leave you with the fact that this is, we think, a unique partnership. It's a public-private partnership. We're fully self-funding this and do not support this newsstand for the variety of reasons I've said. Thank you.
Jean Santoro.
Hi, I'm Gene Santoro from CB6. Thanks for having me. I guess some of those I may refer to, but a lot of the points I was going to raise were covered by the person from Baruch College. We at CB6 have also been opposed to the newsstand. We've been opposed to it for 3 years. We voted 2 resolutions. The last one, which was just a few months ago, was unanimously opposed to the newsstand. The reasons are, as we're given, this is a space that we wanted to create for the students of Baruch College, as well as for our district pedestrians. We have the least amount of open space of any community district in New York City. So we did a plaza in front of the Assolini Bathhouse, for example. It's now a park and a playground. We're grabbing any piece we can to try to make this district more pedestrian friendly, a little more open, and a little more green. This plaza answers all of those problems for this particular part of the district, while also dealing with the fact that, those kids were playing Frogger going back and forth across the class. To put this in the middle of it obstructs entry and exits. Mostly obstructs views from any angle you can imagine. If you stand on that block and see it now open, it's a relative oasis in the midst of all the hustle and bustle of that part of the district. This creates another barrier. It creates another visual bit of clutter in a space that we're desperately trying to maintain as greener and opener and more inviting for the students, for people who are just walking around the district, for the residents of the district. That's why we've been opposed to it over and over again. That's why the last vote was unanimous for the full board against the newsstand in support of the plaza. We've been very involved in the design of this permanent plaza for the last 2 years. Community feedback groups, meeting with the board of Baruch and DOT, trying to sift what people wanted. The newsstand was not on anybody's list. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
I saw that there's a, I'm sorry, did you?
Yes, I did.
Exactly. Thank you, okay. I saw that there was a wayfinding sign as part of what is planned here. Is there any other sign at either end that states that this is Baruch Public Plaza, that there are any requisites or requirements of any kind of closing or limiting
just curious as to whether any other locations within the plaza have been canvassed. Any other permissible locations?
Yeah.
Meet DOT requirements.
Yeah, I've gone through left and right, up and down, every single angle or any possible location going east, west, north, on both sides of the street, and there's not one location that would pass the inspection guidelines.
The DOT guidelines.
The DOT guidelines outside of this, to move it to the final.
Can we see a plan of the street?
In the plaza or the
Pardon me?
in
In
the
the
plaza
plaza.
configuration or the
proposed.
street? Yes.
Yeah.
A plan of the
Of the
plaza.
proposed plaza.
It'll be one frame text.
That's okay.
That's probably,
That's
that's
good.
good.
These photographs are, for me, quite persuasive. The central location of it, I can understand it's problematic for the reasons stated, the numbers of people, flow, view from inside lobby to outside plaza and so forth. Not the longitudinal views, I don't think that's a big issue. I noticed that there's a restaurant here and another food service, the Bagel Express here. It seems quite open near Third Avenue. Is there any reason why this can't be someplace right here?
It's because with the DOT guidelines, there's countless sidewalk obstructions, so if there's a bench, if there's a bike rack, if there's a door.
Well, but DOT, those can be removed.
Right, so just to chime in from the DOT perspective, if we needed to, or if there was a desire that we should look at other locations with the operator, obviously the plan would be amended or things could be shifted a little to make sure that the standards.
So it is possible.
Well, I will say that through months and months of coordination that DOT has done with PDC, there are thousands of elements that will be brought in to this public plaza. And the way that it fits right now is it fits in with everything else. And I believe that there'll be a lot of issues trying to incorporate it along with all the other things and elements that are coming in.
That may be.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the case, but
Yeah.
this seems to be the least, in my view, the least desirable location here. And I'm not prepared to vote in favor of that location in the absence of the submission of alternatives, a list of what has to be moved, not has to be moved. This is only one. Other commissioners may have other ideas. But the idea of having it in the middle is a problem.
I understand.
What about, are there any underground obstructions in front of Bagel Express? Do you know whether there are any underground? When I
Oh, I see what
saw, when I
you're
saw the plan earlier that presumably showed the underground electric lines and so forth, I didn't see anything on the sidewalk or where the sidewalk area would be in front of Bagel Express. And I just want to make sure that I'm correct about that. Kim, is there any, your design showed where the obstructions were underground, and it didn't seem to have any obstructions in front of Bagel Express. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, I think that
That's open there, right?
this is open, this location, yes. I mean, I think that what we would need to do is look at that location fully. Right now, we have bicycle racks there, but that could possibly change.
They could be
But
moved.
you're right, there are no utility conflicts at this location. The thing that we would need to be cognizant of are any entries into.
Any what?
Any building entries.
Well, that should be studied. I know you have studied it, but we haven't seen it.
Right. I mean, I would like to mention that I did propose this many years ago, well before the plaza, and for what I've been through on this and followed through and adjusted everything I possibly could, and even went with a smaller stand, I would highly encourage you to still consider this location. It has been approved by DOT, and with all the flow that goes on, it's still been approved by public safety standards, by the Department of Transportation here today. So I would highly encourage you to please still take this into
I
consideration.
accept your encouragement, but in the absence of really detailed analysis of at least two other locations, not in the center, either closer to Lex or closer to Third Avenue,
there any other, I mean, I'm not sure I see it that way, but.
Oh, you don't?
No.
What?
But I'm just one. Yes.
Well, I think I agree with Commissioner Polshek on the design, from the design point of view. It is a challenge where this is located currently, but as you were exploring locations, did you not do some of the research on, you said you looked at all the other possibilities, right?
Yeah.
And there's just nowhere to locate?
I can tell you, I spent 24 hours at this location. I mean, I know it in and out. I'm telling you, I've worked on this for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And if there's anything that I could do, I'd be more than happy to do it. And I'm really looking forward to a resolution on this today, after all that everyone is going through, including myself here. And I understand your concerns, but, you know, if you look throughout Manhattan and New York City, there's hundreds of newsstands that have countless more concerns than this one. And they're in much busier places, and they still operate. And for all I've been through, and reducing the size, and passing DOT's guidelines here, I really wouldn't want to start from scratch at a new location. I really don't think that that would be the best next step here, personally.
And you, sorry, you said that there might be alternative sites, so have you looked into that?
Well, so just to clarify on DOT, you know, we have the history of all of the dates that we can get into in detail, but the stand was cited here and was approved a number of years ago. The way the process works is the applicant gives us locations to review, we review them, approve or deny, and then go with that. So I don't think we have other, I don't think we have other detailed submissions for this block to be able to state at this time. But from a design perspective, we're all here, we're looking at the proposed design. You know, obviously, the street will not be closed to traffic. Things are going to be very different here in terms of siting criteria, so there is the possibility of looking at other studies. But just to be clear, the stand does meet our siting requirements where it is now.
I, for one, would hate for this gentleman to have to start over from the
Correct.
beginning. I don't think that's fair.
Right.
But I would like to see where else it could be cited on the plaza, which is a public plaza. And I don't have an issue with it being on a public plaza. And from my perspective, I think we should try to work out some kind of deal where we don't start from scratch.
Why would we have to start?
No, no.
Well, I think one of the things we might be able to do, because I am sympathetic with the applicant process, and also sympathetic to our guidelines, which, you know, absent, you know, this particular issue, if a newsstand fits all of the guidelines, then it is approved without debate at this public design commission. Visual clutter, I think, is obviously a subjective standard. I don't think one newsstand in the plaza is necessarily, quote, visual clutter. It may be near an entrance, although I would suggest it's 80 feet from the entrance, or 60 feet from the entrance. I think it's a ways away. So maybe one thing we could do would be to approve the application with the condition that there be a thorough review of the alternative locations, and that those locations would be reviewed, would come back to staff. If the locations were feasible, then we'd have to have another conversation with you. If they were determined to be not feasible under DOT guidelines or whatever, then we would have deemed this approved, and the 3 to 4 year project of yours would go forward.
Are you saying with that, if we follow through, that to approve and with the caveat of looking at alternative
It's a condition.
excuse me,
It's a condition.
conditions, and would there be any reason to specify a couple of the alternative locations,
Sure.
such as at either end, east and west, near the avenue, but still within
The
the
plaza.
plaza? I think that would be valuable in terms of the process and what has happened so far.
I thank you for that input, and I'm in agreement to that. And I will just remind you, it just did pop up in my head that I believe this entire block doesn't even reach 15 feet inside. I could
so is
Yeah,
there,
I do.
Can you phrase it?
I probably could.
Try again.
I wrote what you said.
Okay, so it would be, if anyone chose to make it, a motion to approve the application for the prototypical newsstand with the condition that at least two less central, more avenue-centric locations be examined as alternatives
Within the plaza.
within the plaza itself.
Within the plaza.
And that that examination be done in coordination with DOT, and a report back to the staff.
So moved.
So second.
Can I ask a question? I just want to clarify, does that mean we'd be looking at alternative locations for 4x10 newsstand?
Yes, as proposed.
As proposed, yes. Is there any, there was a second?
Yes.
All in favor? We also need to vote on the plaza itself. Exactly. Is there a motion to approve? Are there any questions about the most excellent plaza design? Which is very handsome. What?
Do we, no questions on the floor?
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Second.
Well, can we approve with the condition that the newsstand issue is resolved?
Along with this.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
otherwise
Yes.
I won't approve.
Yes.
Understand? Okay, great.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Okay.
This should
Good for
go
you.
parallel.
Let's, then there's a condition that the newsstand issue be resolved as a condition to the plaza's approval. Is there a second for that motion?
Yeah.
All in favor?